So my screen is visible to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So this is the reason why we go for sequence alignment. It's written over here. See, evolutionary aspect of bioinformatics deals with this information transfer and subsequent modification of the information, because during that particular software use we have submitted some multiple aligned sequences, or MAS. Basically, multiple aligned sequences will tell you about the evolutionary aspect of those particular organisms or particular sequences. Now, if there any modification in the due to the course of time, rather than transfer the information from one component to the another, so if you need to check this, if there is any difference and all, you will have to go for this sequence alignment. And here comes the concept of homology. So homology means that I have mentioned you, right, that if you are having a particular protein sequences, in case of HLA molecules also, if you have the sequence and you want to know if you have HLA1 and I have say HLA2, you want to know if there is a particular similarity between them, is there any domain or is there any stretch of amino acid which is common in both 1 and 2. If you want to know that, for that you have to go for the sequence alignment. So while comparing similar features in different species or genes, we are interested in separating two different kinds of similarity. Namely, we can ask, these are the similar features in the two species and the same thing or not. So here the idea of homology comes. Now, if you consider in case of genetics, you will see that homology is used in reference to protein sequences, DNA sequences, and when we used rank pape, we use that for what sequence? Protein or DNA sequences? What you have pasted, protein or DNA sequences in the rank pape software?
Ma'am, DNA sequence.
Are you sure?
Ma'am, I don't know which sequence, but I just took from the
Haven't
from
you?
the NetCTL.
Okay, fine, but haven't you watched
From the
it?
NetCTL I took the sequence from there.
How will you know that whether it's a protein sequence or a DNA sequence? How will you separate them? What's your opinion? It's a very basic question.
No idea, ma'am.
No idea. Listen.
Means I think, ma'am, one thing.
Yeah.
There will be a difference in the U and nucleotide.
Yes.
So in RNA we will have uracil.
That's the difference between RNA and DNA. Now, how will you differentiate between DNA and protein sequences? I am giving you two sequences. So one is for one. I am giving you two different servers and two different sequences. Now you have to put DNA sequence in one and protein sequence in another. So how will you distinguish between two sequences? I haven't told you कि this is the protein sequence and this is the DNA sequence, Anusha. So will it be possible for you to differentiate them?
No, ma'am, till now I didn't.
Fine. Listen, when you are having a DNA sequences, you were going right? You were talking about uracil, thymine and all. But when you are representing a sequence of the DNA molecules, it will be represented in terms of ATGC. There, the letters that will be present in the sequence, only A, T, excuse me, A, T, G or C. So these four letters will be present there when you are watching a DNA sequence. But when you are talking about a particular protein sequence, we know protein is made up of what? protein is made up of what? Unit of proteins?
Amino acids.
Right. So there are 20 essential amino acids in our body, in the living systems, organisms. So that will actually, these 20 amino acids form proteins, right? So this, when you are presenting a protein sequences, the sequences will be the name of the amino acids, but it is not possible to write 30 to 300 amino acid sequences. So to save the space, we generally represent the amino acid's name in one letter code. Say we write A. A stands for alanine. We can write a V. V stands for valine. We can write M. M stands for methionine. So there are one letter codes. So if you see the particular sequence, if there is only the repetitions of 4 letters A, T, G and C, obviously this is a DNA sequence. Proteins will not have ATGC, right? But when you are talking about a protein sequence, it must contain the one letter code of all the amino acids with which the protein is made up of. So is it clear to you now?
Yes, ma'am.
And in case of NATCHL, we were talking about peptides, right? Because after the processing, they will give you peptides. Peptide contains multiple amino acids with small fractions of the whole protein. So if you are getting a peptide which goes and bind with the MHC molecules, obviously you have submitted the protein sequences to the server, not the DNA sequences. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So in genetics, if you consider, the homology is used in reference to protein or DNA sequences both. I have mentioned. In case of protein, you can go and check for the homology with a particular domain. In case of DNA, if you want to check the evolutionary distance, evolutionary aspects of different organisms, you can go for the homology of these DNA sequences. Now homologous sequences, they have divided it into two different groups. One is orthologous sequences and one is paralogous sequences. In case of orthologous sequences, what happens, that they have the conserved function which is known as orthologous, and in case of paralogous sequence, they have different functions. We know about orthologous and homologous. We have learned about different cases of, say, in case of birds have wings and bats also has wings, so they are construction wise they are different, but they are performing the same function, right? So this is, they are having orthologous organs. So this is the orthologous, and paralogous means when they have divergent functions. So this is the sequence alignment. See, so Anusha, again, this is the sequences of what? DNA, nucleic acid or protein?
Ma'am, it is DNA.
Right, because first this is nucleic acid because it contains ATGC, the nitrogen bases, and as it is having thymine, not uracil, it's written here as T, getting thymine, so obviously is the sequence of a particular DNA. So this is the multiple sequence alignment. You can see that I have aligned it TAL A, EVG A, YPD1. These are all the DNA sequence which were aligned together. So this is basically the aligned DNA sequence. Now if you find the homology is not something that can be observed in the data, but inference, a conclusion we draw based on observed similarity. It's written over here. So we actually want to find the similarity, because whenever I was talking that if there are any homologous domain homology, if there are any homology in the domain, means we are searching for the similarity in the domain. So we are basically going for the similarity portion. So let's go for the similarity. Now the sequence regions that are homologous may be called conserved. consensus or canonical. Now my question is this: do you know what is conserved sequence and what is this consensus sequence? Well, so this conserved sequence, this is sequence, say in case of nucleic acids it's a nucleic acid sequence, or in case of protein it's an amino acid sequence that is similar among species. Therefore it is consistent across the species throughout the evolution process. Okay, and generally these sequences are maintained by these natural selection methods. So this is the conserved, which remains constant throughout the evolution among different species. Now what is the consensus sequence? If you consider, consensus sequence is a sequence that is commonly found in a given conserved region of DNA or RNA, but it is a very specific nucleotide sequence. For example, we can say that in case of E. coli we get Tata box. The sequence is TATAAT, Tata box, in the promoter region, which are highly conserved sequence. Similarly, in that particular region there is another consensus sequence which is TTGACA in E. coli, which is 35 upstream of the promoter region, which is known as a consensus because there it is E. coli specific. Maybe in case of a different organism there may be a slight change in this particular sequence, which is TTGACA. So this is a consensus, but this Tata box that I have told, that is conserved over evolution in different species. So this is a conserved sequence. Now in case of, if you go for the homology, you will see that the conserved region, if you check the conserved region, so what do you think, there will be similarity or dissimilarity? If you compare or say multiple, if we align multiple sequences, if you consider only the conserved region, what will be your inference? Is there similar or dissimilar?
Ma'am, I didn't understand your question.
See, I have told you, understood what is conserved region?
Yes, ma'am.
So if I tell you that you have two different sequences, I have given you the sequences of two different organisms. Okay, now in the particular sequence there are some region which is conserved. Now if you consider these two conserved regions, what will be your inference? That is the conserved region, that in that conserved region in two different organism you will get, will you get similarity or dissimilarity in the sequences? If you
Ma'am, similarities.
Exactly, I asked you the question because I wanted to know whether you have understood this conserved sequence properly or not. So we will get the similarity. So for the similarity measurement we will consider these conserved or consensus sequences. So sequence regions that are homologous may be called conserved or consensus sequences and represent the most common sequence homology, obviously choice of nucleotide bases or amino acids at each position. Now homology among proteins and DNA is often concluded on the basis of the sequence similarity, especially in bioinformatics, and for this comes the need to align the sequence whose similarity is to be measured. Because see, when we were talking about HLA1, HLA2, different kinds of, we have given in our rank paper, when we used rank paper, we have given the sequences in FASTA format or given multiply aligned sequences. Now from that multiple aligned sequences they will find a particular conserved domain which is present or which is similar to every peptides I have given or the proteins I have given, and from there they will make they will process the peptide which can go and efficiently bind to the MHC molecules. So obviously for this reason if you want to consider multiple sequences, if you want to check their homology, if you want to check a particular sequence. So if you're giving, in case of rank pair, when you were giving say sequence 1, sequence 2, sequence 3 in the aligned format, so they searched for the homologous sequences. That means that where there is minimum amount of difference in the sequences, or maybe the conserved region, and from there they have chosen a particular peptide which can fulfill all the parameters you have given and go and efficiently bind to the MHC molecules, right? So this is the reason we go for the sequence alignment. Now the concept is to calculate, so when we are going for similarity, we will calculate that how much one sequence is similar to the second one, and for this alignment we can go for pairwise alignment. So in case of pairwise alignment, what happens, they are used to assess homology between sites in two sequences, while multiple alignment used for many sequences. And in case of our rank pair, we have used multiple alignments, right, because there are more than two sequences given. Now align the conserved and non-conserved residues across all the sequences, that is the identification of the locations of insertion deletions that have occurred, means if there is any difference between the sequences. So what are the different reasons between when you are aligning to different sequences and you are getting different results after aligning those conserved or consensus sequences? So there may be some deletion of particular sequence. If I show you the picture, it will be clear for you, right? So this is the common ancestor, and from here they have two different descendants. So if you align these two sequences and compare them, see, we are getting TAA, but here we are getting TAC instead of A. That is, second sequence doesn't contain the second A, right? So there is a deletion in the second, maybe there is a deletion in the second. But if you consider the ancestor, see, here is also one A there in the common ancestor. So that means that descendant 1 basically having an extra A. So during this alignment process, here is a mismatch due to an insertion of A in the descendant 1, right? See, it's written over here. Again, if you consider, say here is written in, if you consider the common ancestor, it's having CTTTA, right? In case of descendant 1, we are having CTTTA, but in case of descendant 2, see, we are having CTGTA. So in the place of a T, we are getting a G in the descendant 2. So maybe there is some mutation of this T and we are having a G in the descendant 2. So this is the mutation in the descendant 2. And if you see the end, the common ancestor is having ACCGA. If you consider descendant 1, we are having ACCGA. But in case of descendant 2, see, AC, we need to have another C here, but it's missing. So it's having only one C, ACGA. So obviously if it's present in the common ancestor also, in the descendant also, so obviously descendant 2 has the deleted one. So it's the deletion. So basically there may be an insertion, there may be a deletion in the sequences, or there may be some kind of a mutation in the sequence, which results in the dissimilarity between the two similar sequences. They were thought to be similar, but there is some changes due to this insertion, mutation or deletion, and that is why you are getting a different kind of result after this multiple sequence alignment. So if you consider during this alignment process, we will have a gap, which is the necessary one. See, it's written over here, when we are having this extra A, we are not aligning it in such a way, right? We are aligning it like TA, because if you align this A with C, that after all this you will get different kinds of alignment. I have to align them accordingly. That's T with T, A with A, C should be with C. Here see, C is with C, G should be with the G, second G with should be with the second G. So what is, if it's having, the descendant 1 is having an extra A, descendant 2 is not having that. So what will be the letter that I am going to align with this A? So I haven't anything here, right? So then I will incorporate a dash, and this dash is known as gap. So this is the gaps in alignment. So a gap is any maximal consecutive run-up spaces in a single sequence of a given alignment. Insertion or deletion of an entire subsequence often occurs as a single mutational event, and moreover many of the single mutational events can create gaps. So if you see, there is the changes in, say, for 4 to 5 nucleotides, it will make a gap of the length of 4 to 5 nucleotides. At protein level, two protein sequences might be relatively similar over several intervals, but differ in intervals where one contains a protein subunit that the other does not. If I show you the multiple sequence alignment of different proteins, and if you check for the domain specific, say if you have a particular protein A that is having a signal sequence so that it can be transported out of the cell, and it also having a peptidase domain, and if you have another protein which is not having a signal peptide, that is a cytosolic protein, but that also having a particular protease domain. Now if you align them, you will see that the protease domain will be aligned nicely because they have the same sequences, okay. But if you go for the alignment of this signal sequences, the first protein will have the signal peptide, the second protein will not have the signal peptide. So the not having signal peptide, in case of that protein, that particular position, the position of the signal peptide will be shown as the dash, and that is the gap. When we are considering one contains a protein subunit that the other does not. Again, the introduction of gaps will help us to treat these cases as good matches. So sequences may have diverged from a common ancestor. See, substitution, this is basically the mutations that we are having ACGA, but we are now getting AGGA. So this is the substitution. In case of C, we are getting a G. If you consider insertion, that means we were having ACGA. If there is an insertion between C and G, and insertion of a C, we will get ACCGA. And if you consider deletions, obviously there will be the deletion of particular sequence ACGA, and if this C is deleted, we will get AGA. The latter two will result in gaps. See, if you consider here, we were having 4 sequences, and after substitution still we are having 4 sequences. But if you consider the insertion, we were having 4 sequences, but after insertion we are having 5 sequences. Likewise, in case of deletion, we were having 4 sequences, but after deletion we are having 3 sequences, right? So there is a mismatch in the number of the sequences that we are going to align with each other, right? So here comes the gaps of alignments, and in case of insertion and deletion, we will get this gap in the alignments. So now comes what is gap penalty. So gap penalties are used during this sequence alignment to penalize the gaps, and gap penalties contribute to the overall scores of alignments, and therefore the size of the gap penalty is relative to the entries in the similarity matrix. Now see, if the gaps are less, then what it means, that both two sequences are aligned well. That is why gaps are less, they are just fit with each other. If the gaps are more, that means that there is less similarity between these two aligned sequences. That is why there are more gaps present in these aligned sequences. And so if we want to check or want to calculate the similarity index of a particular protein of a particular aligned sequences, so we can check for the gaps. We can consider the number of gaps. The number of gaps more, that means the similarity is less. The number of gaps less, the similarity is more. So here comes the gap penalty. Gap penalties contribute to the overall score of alignment, and therefore the size of the gap penalty relative to the entries in the similarity matrix affect the alignment that is finally selected. Now, some sequences are more likely to have large gaps rather than many small gaps. For example, a biological sequence is much more likely to have one big gap of length 10 due to single insertion or deletion event, then it's having 10 small gaps of length 1. Gap penalties are often composed of two different parts: gap opening penalty, which is represented as D, and a gap extension penalty, which is represented as E, and both D and E should be less than 0. So there are two different kinds of gap penalties: linear gap penalties and affine gap penalties. So Anusha,
Ma'am,
yeah, tell.
ma'am, what is this big gap and small gap?
I will show you at least up to this sequences, that is what is gap penalty. It is clear to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So now I will show you. I will just talk about this, how you can measure or how can use this affine gap penalties or linear gap penalties to check for the similarity, and how the similarity score is calculated. I will talk about it later. Now I will show you how these gaps work, what are they, and how is this, what is this small gap penalty and large gap penalty means. Okay, so just a minute. So my screen is visible to you?
Yes, ma'am.
We will have two different sequences. Okay, so you will get the sequences from, just a minute. Okay, fine. Just so my screen is visible to you, right?
Yes,
I am showing you a particular software which is known as Clastal W. This is a alignment software. So before going into the details of these gaps and all, just it's a small information about this Clastal W. So Clastal W is a software. I will give you the complete idea in my next class what is Clastal W and all. This is basically a software which help you to align multiple sequence, and it also gives you the idea or the opportunity to make the sequences, to make the evolutionary tree. When you are pasting your multiple sequences, you will be able to make a evolutionary tree also by using this software. Okay, so just tell you. চা খাইনি না, ভাতও খাবো, খিদে পেয়েছে। 10 মিনিট আরো। Okay, so see, now Anusha, tell me, I have pasted a particular sequence here. Can you see that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so it is DNA sequence or protein sequence?
Ma'am, it's a protein sequence.
Good, very good. I'm impressed. Okay, so we are going for sequence alignment, sure, right? We will, so obviously we need to paste more than a sequence. So I am pasting another sequence here and say, okay, fine. I will paste 3 different sequences. Okay, so here is another sequence. So
Ma'am, are you taking it in a faster format?
yes. Why this is in faster format? See, this is the greater than sign and the name of the particular protein is written over here. All the details of the particular protein, and from the next line we are getting the 1-letter code of the amino acids. Okay, so see, this is the, you can see this is the multiple sequence alignment software. You can just align multiple sequences using this software. There are various softwares. I'm just showing you ClassTel-W. Now I have told you that we are getting a particular sequence alignment, and you have told me we are pasting the protein sequences, so I haven't changed the protein to the DNA. If you paste here the DNA sequences, obviously you will choose the DNA, right? Here we are choosing protein, and you can we are doing the alignment and pairwise alignment. I have told you what is pairwise alignment means. If you aligning 2 different sequences, that is giving you pairwise alignment. If you giving more than 2 sequences together, that will give you multiple sequence alignment. But why this is written here over here as pairwise alignment? We will get it after the result. Okay, once we get the result, we will just get the idea why this is written over here. So let's check slow and accurate. There are different parameters over here, and just keeping this in default and executing multiple alignment. So see, multiple sequence alignment, because I have given 3 different sequences. See, this is the sequence 1 which is containing 917 amino acids, sequence 2 containing 485 amino acids, and sequence 3 containing 917 amino acids again. And see, I have told that it is doing pairwise alignment. So if you check sequence, first aligned sequence is 1:3. That means they have aligned this sequence 1 with sequence 2, and they have given a score of their alignment. If we align sequence 1 with sequence 2, it will give 33. Score is 33. That is very less similarity between these 2 sequences, right? Next, they have aligned sequence 1 with sequence 3, the first sequence and the third sequence, both of them containing 917 amino acids. So you are getting a similarity score of 99. They are almost similar to each other. And next, they are aligning sequence 2 and 3. Here also they are getting 33. Score is 33. Okay, so basically they are doing pairwise alignment 1 by 1 with 1 and 2, 2 and 3, and then 1 with 3. So this is the results. Now how the results looks like. So this is the result of the multiple sequence alignment. I have told that sequence 1 and 3 is having 917 amino acid. See, in case of sequence 1, the human one and the ponem one, you can see there is the perfect alignment of the sequences. They are, and obviously see, they are showing similar kind of sequences. Now if we consider yeast, it has only 485 amino acids, and these all the sequences are not present in case of yeast. So it's written over here as gaps, and see, these are the long gaps. I can write the sequences here over, like I can write this M here, and wherever I get the V, I can write the V there. Here is I am getting the V. I can, in case of yeast, it's containing, see, M, V, H, L, G, P, right? So I can write the M here, and I can write the V here if it's G here. So if here is a match, there will be some of the gaps, and here will be a match, then there will be some gap, and here will be a match. So instead of those small gaps, we are having a long gap here in case of the sequence of east. It is clear. What about the long gap and short gap?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so now if you now see, from here they have started aligning the sequence of the east. Now see, if you consider the first amino acid, in case of human and PONAP, see, L is the constant one in both of these sequences, but in case of Ace, it's written as M. So if there is any mismatch in these three aligned sequence, if they are not perfectly aligned, you will get a colon as a result of this kind of mismatch here. Okay, and now tell me, see, again it's written over here EEH, but here we are getting a single dot. Here is not same kind of pattern is like we are observing same kind of pattern that in case of first two sequences, here we were observing L stands for, what is the amino acid that L codes for?
Lysine.
No, leucine. Lysine is represented as
LYS.
You know what is used to represent lysine? Lysine is lysine is represented as K. L stands for leucine. So we are getting leucine and M for methionine. Okay, but in case of C, here it's written EEH. So what is the difference between how this is single dot? Here we are getting single dot. Here we are getting a colon. Can you guess?
No, ma'am. Ma'am, you are asking why that single dot is represented.
Exactly.
No, ma'am.
Okay, fine. So L, M, both leucine and methionine, all of these amino acids are, what is the nature of this amino acid? What is the nature of this amino acid? So these amino acids, leucine and methionine, they do not impart any charge, right? They are not having any charge. They are same kind of amino acids. They are non-polar amino acids, right? This is the nature of the amino acid. But if you consider the second one, E, E and H, H stands for histidine and E stands for, you are pursuing your BSc, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Just try to understand or try to at least memorize these one letter codes. Okay, if you are working with proteins, you need to use them constantly. So E stands for glutamic acid and H stands for histidine. Now we know that glutamic acid will have an extra negative charge in it, right? That is a charged amino acid. So there is the difference in the property of the amino acid. If there is the dissimilarity between the amino acid sequences which are of same kind of feature, which are having same kind of property, then we will having this dissimilarity, which is represented as the colon. If there the amino acid, say that should be E, that is glutamic acid, but instead of glutamic acid, in case of yeast we are getting H, which is not having a negative charge, or which is not a polar one. So obviously this is the reason that we are getting, instead of two negatively charged amino acid, we are getting a particular histidine here. It's not replaced by any other negatively charged amino acid. So that is why we are getting a single dot here. So this is the representation of the dissimilarity between the sequence, the amino acid sequences, if it is of same kind, whether it's polar or it's non-polar, or they are having same kind of charge or not. So is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now see, we are having some asterisks also. So why this is given? If you consider above these asterisks, we are getting G for yeast, G for ponap, G for human. So if there is the perfect sequence alignment between the two or more, the how many sequences you have aligned, if there is a perfect similarity of that particular sequence in all of those aligned sequences, then that will give you this kind of asterisk as a result. So it's clear. So there are 4 different kinds of symbols basically. One is the dash, which is basically the gap which is necessary for the alignment of multiple sequences, and once you are aligning multiple sequences, if there is perfect match, then you will get a star, asterisk. If there is a mismatch, now if you consider the amino acids, if there are the same kind of amino acid, but the mismatch, but same property of amino acid but different amino acids, it will be represented as colon. If there are different properties of amino acids in this mismatched region, that will be represented as this dot. So this is basically how the gaps look like and how the gap penalty. Now see, these gaps are actually helping us to calculate the score, the alignment score, and whatever score you are getting over here, this score is nothing but the similarities score. You are measuring the sequences depending on their similarity. You can measure this depending on their similarity. You can measure the multiply aligned sequences depending on their dissimilarity. If two sequences are just something which is, say, a protein sequence which is coming from me and a protein sequence which is coming from you, and if I just align those two sequences, there will be much more of similarity. So I can check the score depending on the similarity. Now if I align the protein sequence, the sequence of one of my protein, and take the protein sequences of, say, an almond tree, and if I align these two sequences, there will be differences. I can go for similarity also, or whether otherwise I can go for check for the dissimilarity score. More the dissimilarity score, that means we are distant from one another. More the similarity score, that means we are evolutionarily closer to each other. Is it clear? Similarity and dissimilarity.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I don't know how much you have understood. In my next class, I will just tell you how this similarity and this dissimilarity is measured. Again, I will show you this class 10W result, how you can use this to align multiple sequences, and what is the basic behind this class 10W. I will tell you about that, and in my next class I will also show you another particular software which can use for this MHC detection or this T cell epitope prediction. This sequence alignment I am basically telling you because once you will go for the checking of that particular epitope binding and all, or if you are having a particular protein sequence, different protein sequences, you need to check or you need to align them. You need to get the idea whether they are distant evolutionary similar or not, and then you have to go for their effect. So this is why I am talking about this multiple sequence alignment today. Clear, Anusha?